Hello students, today I am taking up session 8 from the chapter Income from House Property. From session 1 to session 7, a lot of theoretical aspects relating to the chapter Income from House Property have been discussed and I have uploaded all the videos to the YouTube channel. You can always go and you can actually watch the videos and understand the various concepts relating to the chapter Income from House Property. Today I would start the practical part from this particular chapter, that is calculation of gross annual value. So the first step in the process of calculating the income from house property is you should arrive at the gross annual value. I shall take up the problem and the details of the problem are already mentioned on the board. Let me tell you that and start off with the problem. So here this information is about Mr. J, who is a resident of India, and he has given the following information and he has asked us to calculate or arrive at the gross annual value. What all the informations are there? So here he has given the municipal value. Municipal value is given and it is 1,60,000. Municipal value is 1,60,000 and fair rental value is 1,80,000. Standard rent given is rupees 1,75,000. Annual rent is 1,68,000. Unrealized rent is 42,000 and the vacancy period is 1 month. So by utilizing this information, you are supposed to calculate the gross annual value of Mr. J, who is a resident of India. So as the format, I shall follow the format in the process of calculating the gross annual value. And first of all, let me write the heading: calculation of gross annual value. So calculation of gross annual value. What is the first step? Step number 1. Step number 1, we are supposed to arrive at the expected rental value. In step number 1, we are supposed to arrive at the expected rental value. How do you calculate the expected rental value when 3 values are given for you? What are those 3 values? When municipal rental value, fair rental value and standard rent is given for you in the problem, how do you arrive at the expected rental value? First, what we should do is that compare the municipal value. Municipal value or fair rental value. Take the municipal value and compare that with the fair rental value. The first step is municipal rental value and the fair rental value has to be taken. What is the municipal value? 1,60,000 is the municipal value and fair rental value is 1,80,000. So first we should compare the municipal value with that of the fair rental value and find out which is the highest value. So here we should see whichever is the highest value, and after seeing and comparing this, we can conclude that 1,80,000 is the highest value. Then or standard rent, whichever is lower or lowest, whatever, lower or lowest. So with the value whatever you have arrived, we are supposed to take that value and compare that with the standard rent, and whichever is lower is actually the expected rental value. So let us take now. So what is the standard rent given in the problem? 1,75,000 or 1,80,000, whichever is least. So 1,75,000 is the value that is least. So our expected rental value is 1,75,000. Our expected rental value is 1,75,000. What is the second step? Step 2. Step 2 is you are supposed to calculate the gross annual value. We are supposed to proceed with the calculation of gross annual value. The second step is calculation of gross annual value. And how do you arrive at the gross annual value? I will just tell you. Here we have to again make a comparison. In the process of calculating the gross annual value, again you should take two values here. Expected rental value or actual rent, whichever is highest. So, I am supposed to start the second step, that is the calculation of GAV, gross annual value. And in order to calculate the gross annual value, again I am supposed to compare the expected rental value with that of the actual rent. I have already calculated the expected rental value, which is 1,75,000. I am supposed to compare this with the actual rent. What is actual rent given in the problem? 1,68,000. So 1,68,000 is the actual rent given in the problem, and there is another adjustment here that is supposed to be taken into consideration, that there was unrealized rent to the extent of 42,000. So which should be deducted from the actual rent. In order to arrive the correct figure, you are supposed to deduct that from the actual rent. So take the actual rent, deduct the unrealized rent, and after deducting the unrealized rent, the resultant amount should be taken, which is 1 lakh, which comes up to 1,26,000. So here expected rental value is compared with the actual rent, and when because unrealized rent is given in the problem, we are supposed to deduct the unrealized rent from the actual rent, and after deducting that, the amount that we have got is rupees 1,22,000. So here in order to compute the GAV, the first step is take ERV, compare that with the actual rent, and find out whichever is highest. Which is highest? 1,75,000 is highest. Again here 1,75,000 is highest. From that, again there is a adjustment, that there is a vacancy period rent. The house was vacant for 1 month during the previous year. That means the SSC has not received the rent for 1 month. So that vacancy period rent should be deducted, as it is not received by the SSC, from your ERV amount, expected rental value amount. So here less vacancy period, which is 1 month. Okay. So here the actual rent is 1,68,000 divided by 12. For 1 month, the rent received is 14,000. So vacancy period rent for 1 month is 14,000. That needs to be deducted from your ERV to arrive at the GAV. So after deducting for 14,000, you are getting 1,61,000. So 1,75,000 is deducted from 14,000, and you are arriving at your GAV amount. So GAV, that is gross annual value of Mr. J, is 1,61,000. So GAV of Mr. J is 1,61,000. So what I have done in this particular problem, let me just give you a quick glance. See here, I am supposed to calculate the gross annual value of Mr. J, who is a resident of India, and in order to calculate, the following informations are given. First of all, municipal value is given, standard rent is given, fair rental value is given, and annual rent is given. The first step is expected rental value. How do you calculate the expected rental value when municipal value, fair rental value, and standard rent is given? So in this case, when three values are given for you, first of all compare municipal value with the fair rental value to find out whichever is highest. So when I compared the municipal value and the fair rental value, I found out that fair rental value is highest. So I have taken 1,80,000. Then again, and because the standard rent is also given, then I compared the standard rent with that of the two values that were compared before. That is, I took 1,80,000 here, which was the highest between municipal value and the fair rental value, and then I concluded that So I am supposed to take the lowest here. So lowest among the two is 1,75,000. So this is the first step, that is computation of expected rental value. Then I go to the computation of gross annual value. In order to compute the gross annual value, I am supposed to take the expected rental value, which I have already calculated, and compare the actual rent. Actual rent is 1,68,000, but because during the previous year there is unrealized rent that has to be deducted from the actual rent, and I have arrived at it as 1,20,000, 1,26,000. I compared both to find out whichever is highest. So the highest is 1,75,000, from which I am deducting the vacancy period rent. Vacancy period rent is actually the rent that is not received by the SSC because the property was vacant during the previous year and it was vacant for 1 month. So whatever the actual rent I received, I divided that by 12 to arrive at per month rent. I deducted that and arrived at GAV. So the gross annual value is 1,61,000. With this I end the session 8, which talks about the illustrations on the chapter income from house property. Hope you have found this particular session meaningful and hope you enjoy it and understand and take the maximum from this session. Thank you.